Okay, we're live. Hold on, let me get the chat. Can get chat on. There we go. Okay, here we are. We're in the Jag Connection. The first tonight's our pilot debut episode of the Jag Connection. How you doing today, Coach V?
Doing good, man. Glad you're here.
Glad you're here. Yeah, so we got a decent crowd here tonight. Here we're at Beef O'Brady's. Want to thank Beef O'Brady's for hosting us. You know, Beef O'Brady's has been a proud sponsor of all of Jaguar athletics. They sponsored baseball this spring, and they're a good big sponsor for. Yeah, it's not. Hello? 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 Yeah. We'll just have to fly without it. So, sorry, we're having a little audio issues here internally on the speaker for people to be able to hear in here. So, Coach V, and I'll just probably talk a little louder than usual. But, so Coach V, this is the very first episode of the Jaguar Connection. Jaguar Connection is going to be something that we bring to you every week beginning this fall. Oh, that's why it's not working. Hold on. Hello, hello. Is that better? Still not great. Still not great, but better. There we go. How's that? Doop. Here, hold on. Do it this way. Do it this way. What do we got here? Hold on. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to do this. Here, let me have let me have that.
That's why we're dry running tonight, fellas.
Yeah. Well, that's what I went home to get the amp because 3 different speakers wouldn't work. There you go. There you go. You take all you want now. There you go. We'll try that. How's that? How's that? How's that? Hello? 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 Huh? It's coming through here, so I don't know why. I tried it that way. Here, try it this way. Hello? 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 Yeah. I think it's something with the speaker. So we'll just do the best we can. Anyways. I'm trying to get an external speaker to work, folks, and unfortunately it's not cooperating. So we'll get back started. Here we are. First episode of the Jag Connection. Jag Connection is going to be your one-stop shop for everything Jaguar football, right, Coach?
That's it, man. We're trying to get all the families lined up and together.
And we're going to be talking high school, middle school, youth football, everything, and things, activities in the community and things that the boys are doing as far as community service projects and things like that, but anything that has to do with SPAIIN Park football. And so first, why don't you tell folks a little bit about what they get as part of the Jag Connection?
Yeah, so what we're trying to do with Jag Connection is just connect all of our families in our community around our football program. And, you know, we got a lot of good things to highlight. We have a lot of good families, good people. We want to highlight that. But, you know, the biggest thing is, you know, trying to reach down to 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade of families who want to be a part that might not need nor want to, you know, buy a big $5,000 sponsorship. You know, they might just want to just be involved, you know. And so that's the thinking behind it, and kind of have a little club that we kind of meet every Sunday night in the season and talk about the previous game and the next game, and get our little league out here and our middle school just kind of get as many people around our program as possible and talk about all the good things our kids are doing.
One of the things that I know that's one of the goals and something that you've tried to establish since you've been here at Spain Park is it's one program. It doesn't matter if you're in 2nd grade, 12th grade, you're a Jaguar. And you're a part of the program. And we do things like youth night. You have players go out to some of the youth practices. You invite the youth coaches to come and learn. Middle school, high school, all work together. So, I mean, really, it's not high school, middle school, and youth. It's basically part of the JAG program, right?
Correct. It's all, I mean, we're all in this thing together. And, we're really aligned from the little leagues all the way to Berry Middle School all the way up. And the guys, Sean Jordan, Ben Harrelson, that group, the little leagues, and Coach Bowden, who's here today. It's just a very good connection between them all the way up, and we're just trying to keep growing it and keeping our kids here, keeping our families around.
So this is the first of 2 exciting events in the next 24 hours, right, Coach?
You are right. We got a golf tournament
That's
tomorrow.
right. We got talk a little bit about that. Hoover Toyota is out at River Chase Country Club, and I believe that River Chase Country Club has donated some of the time for the use of the course to Spain Park.
They have.
To allow us to make some money off of that, and that's the first annual. So talk a little bit about how many teams, some of the sponsors, and kind of where this is going to go going forward.
So Hoover Toyota is the big sponsor for the golf tournament tomorrow. They came in and they're really doing. Scott Peoples has been a godsend for us. He's done a lot for our program, helping us get it off the ground and do it the right way. But the golf tournament's tomorrow. We've got a handful of teams in it. We've got a bunch of hole sponsors, and so it's going to be a good time tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. I think there's still time to sign up. If there's somebody out there wants to enter a team, there's still time to enter a team. But it's going to be a good time tomorrow.
And even Hoover Toyota has even gone as far to donate $50,000 towards the purchase of a new car if you get a hole-in-one on whatever the specific hole is out there.
Yeah, if you get a hole-in-one, I think you get $50,000 towards a new vehicle. So we'll see if anybody can put it in the hole and try to get that done. But it's not going to be me, I can tell you that.
Yeah. Will you be golfing?
No, I'll be on a golf cart. I'll be driving around. I'm going to be on the cart path, so that's where I'll be.
Another big thing, too, is we're talking fundraising, so we might as well get it all out of the way. The Chevron, 2 different Chevrons, one over here on 280 and the one right around the corner from Spain Park. Pay at the pumps for the park, and they've got decals on there, and you get a couple of cents. What is it, 1 cent towards every gallon of gas goes towards Spain Park football?
Yes, from now through the month of August, you get 1 cent. We're getting 1 cent per gallon through pumps 1 and 2 at the Exxon on Caldwell Mill in Valleydale and the one in River Chase. They just finally got the skirts. So if you look at the bottom of the pumps, you'll see the Spain Park football logos on it. So now you see that. So, it's a good little thing. I think it's going to be good for our people to go to those pumps. And Exxon and Vulcan Oil have come in with a partnership, and they're going to help us kind of keep raising money for our kids.
Well, one thing I don't know if people realize, and I thought we had a nice little interview during baseball with Alan Paquette, school board member. And, one of the things he talked about in that interview was the budget and how much of that budget, 98% of the budget basically goes towards teachers, their salaries, the facilities. There isn't a lot of money in there for sports at Spain Park or any of the Hoover school systems. So sports have to be self-sustaining. So not only are these are a couple creative ways, the golf tournament, to pay at pumps at the park, but it's important if people see opportunities to fundraise because sports do need to be self-sustaining, including the facilities. Facility upgrades, while some of the facility upgrades do come through like the baseball field and the softball field recently, those are far and few between.
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. I mean, we with a program like this, you try to raise as much money as you can because you don't want the families to have to always, pay $2,000 to play, and you don't want to go to the same guys and always ask for money. So we're trying to just be creative and create ways to raise money for our kids through different avenues, hit different people, different ways, and so that's kind of what we're doing, and we've got a very good start so far, and we're hoping to grow it.
So let's get to it. So this is your 3rd spring game that you just concluded Friday night. Weather looked a little dicey, but you got it off.
We got it in. We thought it was going to be raining, but we definitely got it in.
How was the crowd?
It was a good crowd for spring game. I thought Ramsey brought some energy. They had their band there, and so it was a good crowd. It turns out a lot of high school coaches were on the sidelines. They wanted to probably see us, but a lot of them were there to see Ramsey, so it was a nice little crowd.
So we finished, 7-3 last year?
We did,
7-3, and probably, though, the best 7-3 team in the state, and I'm not just saying that because we were part of it, but I don't think coming down after that last game, especially who at Trussville and the way we finished with Pelham, nobody really wanted to play the Jags. Probably a lot of people were happy to see the Jags not advance, the opposing teams. So, but one of the things that you felt after that last game is the kids did not want to leave the field. Right. Seniors, and they were ready to get back. Did you see that through spring practice, that they were just so ready to get back on the field and kind of pick up from where they left off?
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, these kids are, they're hungry, and I think last year, if nothing else, last year showed our kids they can compete. They can win on the biggest stage, and we had a tough 3-game stretch there last year during the season that we had a lot of injuries, and we kind of, after that 5th game, Vestavia, we kind of licked our wounds and had an off week and got everybody healthy, and, we were playing pretty good football second half of the season. And, it's one of those things where you just hate it. You like to think what would have been, had we not had a bunch of injuries, but that's part of it. Like you just, every championship run, you get injury luck, and we had some bad luck last year, but our kids kept playing and they didn't quit. There was a time, we lost 3 games in a row. They could have, shut it down, but they didn't. They got better. So by the end of the year, we were playing some pretty good football, and I thought it carried over to spring, even though we had, we've got a lot of new guys out there. I thought it carried over. These kids are hungry and they want to win and they want to play for each other. That's one thing we've stressed all off season about not just playing with someone, play for him, and work out for him. Do the right thing in school for somebody. When you're playing for somebody, it's a whole other feeling than if you're just playing with them. And I think that's where we're getting, and I think it's showing up every day, but it showed up Friday night. Our kids were really excited for each other.
So one of the things that we talked about, last year, 3 things that you had talked about wanting to see going in spring practice was start fast. Could they learn to win? And really the competition on the offensive and the defensive line. I think you saw sometimes last year they started fast. I think you saw towards the end of the season they learned how to win. I think, though, one of the big questions a lot of people have out there, you got going to have a lot of new faces on both sides of the line. How was that competition throughout spring practice?
Well, it's not over, those kind of competitions, they linger through the summer and into the fall and even through the season. And whenever you get competition to get on the field, to play, you got a chance. So somebody knows he's not just going to be there and not having to compete. Well, we're going to have competition all over the place. And but again, like these kids are they're fans of each other. That's one thing. When somebody makes a play, they're excited for them. It's not, they don't look at him in a certain type of way because it's not them making the play. But I think look, when kids have to compete, that's how big programs have championship runs. They got to compete with each other.
Yeah, so. Hey, if you want to try to plug it back in, I switched a few things over here, so it may work now. So. Yeah. So, but and again, I talked to Brock Bradley a little bit yesterday, and one of the things that he told me that I thought was very interesting about, I said, what was one of the big things that you saw that you really you kind of formed as a team last year that you guys wanted to work on going into spring practice and that you were really pleased with when you got to spring practice? And the answer he gave me, which I thought was interesting, was being a good teammate. And he said that this is a very unique and very tight, and again, it's something I think you've seen grow from year to year to year. But it wasn't, our intensity, our leadership, our commitment, our focus. It was being a good teammate. And he said that, if we kind of believe if we're good teammates, being a good player will take care of itself.
Look, that has been a big stress of ours as a staff in the off season is being good people, being good teammates. We started a book study in the off season about leadership. We went through 2 books, two leadership books. We had a Big Brother program where we assigned our 9th graders with an older kid. We paired them up, and they had a weekly assignment to kind of do each week to kind of get to know the younger guys and older guys and just try to bridge the gap between the new kids and the older kids. So we do devotion every day. So there's just things that you have to be intentional about it, and you have to be consistent. And it's starting to rub off on our kids, and the captains are kind of taking ownership of a lot of things. And that's the thing about it. When you have good teams, the leaders come from the kids. That's where leadership comes from. If coaches are having a lead, you got a chance. But if the kids lead, that's when you maximize what you have. And right now, including Brock, we've got a lot of really good leaders on this football team, and it means a lot to them. And anytime you got kids that it means a lot to and they're good leaders, they affect people in a positive way, you got a chance.
Yeah, I want to reach out and mention, a couple accolades through the season. Jonathan Bibbs last year, a 1,000-yard receiver. I don't think we've had a 1,000-yard receiver in a long time at Spain Park, have we?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that and when the last time it was, but he, Bibbs has gone off to sign with Louisiana Monroe, and he'll be going down there in a couple weeks. But obviously, when you have a 1,000-yard receiver, you got to have a kid that can throw it to him, and then you got to have a line that can block. So we're really happy for Bibbs, and he played really well, and we're proud of him. And he played in the North-South All-Star game, and he's going to represent our program and his family in this community in a really positive way when he goes to school next a couple weeks.
And I mean, and one thing, a lot of people say, how do you go replace a 1,000-yard receiver like that? You don't necessarily have to all the time because you got a lot of good receiver athletes and a lot of guys who've just been waiting for their opportunity.
That's high school. I mean, that's high school football. When you have a good player that graduates or whatever, you have to have the next guy ready. And that's kind of where we are. We've got a handful of guys that are kind of ready to get out there and go and get their chance, and they're going to get it. You saw the other night we had a bunch of kids catch passes, and anytime you have somebody like Brock Bradley who's going to put the ball where it's supposed to be, he's going to put it where they can catch it. So, I don't know. We're looking forward to it. We got a lot of kids who want to play, and Bibbs, I don't know if you just replace him by wiggling your nose and just replace a Jonathan Bibbs, but we've got some kids that we feel like can make some plays.
But on top of that too, you got a wide variety. You got a little speedster and Andrew Thornton, right? You got Mitchell Frazier, who's your size guy. You go Eli Smallwood, a guy that decided he wanted to put team first. He was sitting there at quarterback and decided to switch positions to get on the field and help his team. Caught a touchdown pass the other night, if I'm not mistaken.
He did.
So talk about his transition in his role.
Look, I'm so proud of Eli. He's such a good kid. Anybody that knows him and the Smallwood family, I mean, it's just they're such good people. And a situation where he wanted to get on the field, and he's a big kid. He's a good athlete, so we've put him out there and given him his chance, and he took advantage of it the other night. And he does some things well. He's got to get used to playing in that position, but he's doing a lot of really good things, and I think he's going to help us.
And what's one thing too I got to give you credit for, and your staff, is you guys athletes. If you got a good athlete, and you even did it with my son. Got a good athlete. He wasn't going to see a rotation. You found a role for him on that team, and you take that athleticism and you put it to work for the team. But I think the second part of that, and probably the most important part of that, is to your point, is the kids are willing to do it because they want to be a part of this team.
Right. I mean, look, they want to help. Kids want to help. Kids want to be a part of a winner, and they it's not a selfish thing. They want to play. They want to help. And Eli, that's what he's doing, and he's got a chance to help us there, and I'm excited about him. Drake Hibbard's put on a bunch of weight. He's got a chance to help us tied in along with Henry Gregory and Ryan Brazil at fullback. So we've got pieces. We just got to do a good job as coaches to put them in the spots to where they're successful.
Last one for you, then we'll bring Coach Bowden on and get a little middle school update, but also want to touch on Cam McFarland, Shanks, Jamar Mosley, and one that was kind of a late signing in Kelby Roberson. Tell you, 5 total signees coming out of this class, all a couple Division I, couple with an opportunity to go the JUCO route at a very formidable JUCO program.
There's no doubt. In next December, Derek Shanks and Jamar Mosley, they're going to have opportunities they didn't have coming out of high school. And that's one thing is hurting the high school athlete right now, the portal, all the transfers and all that. It hurts them, because a lot of schools would rather sign a 20-year-old kid who's been in college 2 years compared to coming down and getting an 18-year-old coming out of high school. So Derek and Jamar are going to go to JUCO, and they're going to have a lot of opportunities next December they didn't have this December. So Cam McFarland is a qualifier. He did a really good job on his academic second semester, so he's going to Jones County Community College, but he only has to stay 1 year. So next December he'll be able to sign somewhere and get out of there. So, Kelby Roberson's going to go up there and do well. So it's always good to see, kids leave the program, but they bust their butt to help us be successful on the field. We owe it to them to bust our butt for them to get them. If that's something they want to do, give them the opportunity to achieve that. So they're doing a lot of good things, and we're really proud of those 5 guys, and I think they're going to represent us really well next level.
And Kelby, one of those guys that kind of the quintessential example of being a good teammate. When you first got here, he was very aggressive, played a little bit for himself, and had the athleticism, but needed to kind of dial himself in. And you guys worked with him, and even he had a few struggles, gave him another opportunity, made the most out of that, and now he's a college athlete.
Kelby, man, he's come so far. He turned into one of our best leaders. He's a really good person. he always had a good heart. He always had a good spirit. He just sometimes lacked self-control on the field. He gets so caught up, but he was able to harness that, and these kids followed him. He was a really good leader, emotionally, physically. Like, he was just a really good person, and I can't be happier for that kid. He's going to do really well.
So, real quick, and then we'll bring Matt on. Talk about three real key things that you took away from the spring game: plays, players, transitions, things that you really took away from spring game that you're excited about going into the summer.
Well, I think one is effort. I thought we played with relentless effort. It wasn't always good. It wasn't always clean or pretty, but our kids played really, really hard. Like I said earlier, when a kid caught a pass or scored a touchdown, everybody was excited. Dakari Shanks, who's committed to Troy right now, he didn't start. He was late to practice one day, so he's not going to start. So CJ, our ninth grade kid, who's going to be a sophomore, he started. Well, the first touch, he takes it 80-something yards and scores a touchdown. Well, on the sidelines, Coach Berry was running down the sidelines with CJ, and Dakari was right behind Coach Berry running down there with him, celebrating with CJ. So that's a good thing. I tell these kids, leadership leaves clues. Being a good person, being a part of a championship program, it leaves clues behind. And those are little clues that you might not see on a scoreboard and might not read in the paper, but when you see kids truly happy for somebody else's success, that's a leadership clue. That's a championship clue. So that, Josh Tulos, he came in and he was 4 for 4, or 2 for 2 on extra points, and he was 2 for 2 on field goals. We're actually 4 for 4 extra points.
Okay. Yeah.
4 for 4 extra points, and 2 for 2 on field goals. He's kicking off the ground. He's not using a block. So that was different for him, and that's what he wants to do. So, anytime you can get inside the 25-30 and feel like you get 3 points, that's a big difference, making a game 17-7 compared to it being 14-7. So that was a good thing to see. But again, Brock Bradley brings so much to an offense that he has a lot of green light. He has a lot of freedom to make a decision on where the ball goes every play. So, the more he grows, the better he gets, the more green he's going to get. He's going to get the keys more to our offense. And I think our kids are excited, man, and seeing the defense play as hard as they did, knowing that they're having to replace so many guys. Coach Bush and that staff have done a great job, and I'm looking forward to their development come August compared to today. I think in August that defense is going to be a much different defense than what played Friday night, and they played pretty well. But I'm looking forward to seeing the growth over the summer.
Yeah, you keep highlighting guys. I got to keep going to them because I'd be kind of remiss if I didn't. But Josh Chulis, another guy, last year had some opportunities, kicked well, had some opportunities because of some injuries to Alex Lloyd, but didn't get that attitude when he got pulled back out. When Alex came back, he made the most of his opportunity, used that experience, and now he's really ready to go. And he's actually got some experience a kicker in his situation might not normally have.
So let me tell you a little bit about Josh. He has come so far in terms of kicking the ball, but the biggest thing Josh is doing is he has recruited other soccer players from our soccer program to come join the team as kickers.
The other football, right?
Yes, some people call it football. We don't. But
right.
But he's actually bringing soccer players into our program to be kickers. So these kids are coming out with him a couple days a week kicking. He's kind of showing them the ropes, and he's excited about it. And I told him you got two jobs: one to kick, two to add some kickers into our program. So he's gotten some younger kids from the soccer program into the football. So we're going to pick up a couple of kickers over the summer. So that just goes to show what kind of person he is. He's a leader. People follow him. He's a good person, and he's a hard worker. So he's brought other kids into our program, which is outstanding.
Everybody talks about kids, what they got to learn, how they develop. Last year, you did have some struggles on special teams earlier in the year, and not just because of the special teams unit. There were some blocking assignments missed and things like that. What did you guys learn as a coaching staff last year? Because you kind of have the same thing to do this year. You got 3 new position players there on the special teams, and you've got some and you've got some new people on the line. So what did you guys learn as a coaching staff to maybe make that transition easier this year?
Well, the biggest thing is just trying to get the kids where they need to be, and we went with some bigger bodies on the extra point field goal team that helped, and we tried to make sure the timing was done from the snap, the hold, the kick was off in time, and just a lot of little things. And the kids did a really good job, and that bothered them after Hoover game block the punt. We'd had the field goal block, extra point block. It bothered them too. So, anytime it bothers kids, it's a whole lot easier to clean up and to fix than just coaches. So, but no, I took the blame for it because it fell under me, but we got it fixed. So it's just every year is different. They're going one year you might need a Band-Aid for this section, but next year that might be a strength. You might have a Band-Aid somewhere else. So that's just part of it. That's part of our coaching staff of finding where our Band-Aids need to be and trying to do our best of developing it and trying so it's not going to hurt us later on.
And one thing I do know, and I don't know if other programs do this, but Terrius Taylor, Coach Terry, I call him my three sons. You got a guy that's super dedicated to special teams. A lot of people want to treat it as the uncle nobody wants to talk about at the Christmas party, right? But, I mean, he really dedicates his time not only to his position but to special teams. And he probably spends more time on special teams, which I think is kind of an anomaly in this day and age.
Coach Taylor does a great job with those kids, and, he's very good at delegating where getting other coaches to help him do stuff, because special teams is a monumental task. You're looking at depth charts for kickoff return, kickoff, extra point, field goal, punt. You got a depth chart, then all of a sudden somebody gets hurt in the game or he needs to come out of play, and it's just so many moving parts for special teams that he does such a good job of managing, and he uses people around him to help. Because special teams is not just calling plays on offense or defense. Special teams is a whole nother monster, and he does such a good job of organizing it all and working on all the little things that it takes to be good on special teams. So he's a blessing to have around.
All right, well, we got to get Coach Bowden here ready. We're gonna get him. We're gonna get the middle school and the youth, and then we want to bring you back up. We want to talk a little bit about transition to 6A competitive balance and next year's fall schedule.
You got it, man. Come on, Coach Bowden.
You know how to put one of those on, right?
Yes, I do. How you doing, George?
Oh, good. Good to see you. There you go.
Got it?
So first off, how the boys, man? This is your first year as an empty nester, man. You got two boys off. I know one of them was around. It's still coming around a little bit. But how are you and the wife doing after your first year of empty nesting?
They're doing great. They're both at Jeff State. One goes to nursing and one getting his basic courses out of the way. And so they're still around, and my wife's doing well.
That's good. Yeah, my daughter's in nursing in Alabama, so it's a great program to be. It's great. I mean, tell you what, you're probably not going to find a better profession right now than to go into healthcare because there's such a shortage.
Yes, sir. He starts nursing school in the fall. Morgan does.
So first off, we talked a little bit to Coach about the varsity. Talked a little bit about how your spring practice went and your numbers in 7th and 8th grade and how you guys are looking.
Oh, it went real well. We had about 110, 115 out for spring practice with the 6th and 7th graders. I spent a lot of time on fundamentals, just take our time. Teaching the basics, just a little bit of scheme, but just really a lot of fundamentals. They all worked hard. Our upcoming 8th graders really stepped up and showed good leadership to the upcoming 7th graders, showing them how to do things and worked real hard.
And in the last couple of years, you guys have kind of dropped the wall between 7th and 8th grade. You guys kind of blend your coaching staffs, right? So you're coaching 7th grade. Even though Coach White is the head coach on that, you're kind of helping that, and vice versa. He comes up and helps with the 8th grade. So you guys are getting a lot more continuity and a lot more input. So when you're not basically starting over with the 7th graders when they get to 8th graders, talk about how that's worked.
Absolutely, we do. We all each have an offensive or defensive position. We all work together for both games, and it's really worked well building as they grow older. And the main point is just getting them ready for Spain Park. Yeah. So it's worked well.
And that's even gotten even bigger. You guys even got more involved with Spain Park. You're not only doing that, but I know you've got some coaching responsibilities on Friday night, whether they're official or unofficial.
Yeah,
I know you're down there.
I help out where I can. I was talking to Coach Moore the other day. I just love learning when I learn something, and I get to carry it down to the middle school as well. And so that's been a big part of growing as a coach, being up there at the high school, and also helping our middle schools prepare for being at the high school. But Barry and Spain Park is such a blessing just being right across the street. And we get to take them over there. We go over there in the summertime, do our workouts in their weight room and on the game field. So it's a great situation to be in.
So talk a little bit, last Spain Park was down for a couple years. Coach V comes in, finished somewhat strong, but then had a really good, strong second year. Have you seen that success translate into more participation at the middle school level?
Yes, our numbers have been the best they've been. We've been sending anywhere from 50 to 60 up in each year to the high school, and you could tell the excitement's there, and it's only building.
And and that's one thing you mentioned earlier. Getting them, you want to win.
Right.
Nobody does. Nobody likes losing, right? You're playing to win, but you guys
Absolutely.
also have taken a really developmental philosophy in the middle school level. You see some potential, and you're moving players around more than you used to in the past.
We do, and we teach them an offensive and defensive position because you don't know where they're going to end up at time they get to high school. They're going to change. Their body's going to change. They're going to mature differently. But we're trying to teach a broad base of football skills to them. That's going when they develop and their body develops, they're going to be prepared to play.
Yeah, and talk to you a little bit about, I think the one thing that a lot of people are still trying to grasp and understand, and maybe don't understand, and it may not have any impact on middle school, is the transition from 7A to 6A. So will we see a different host of schools on the schedule for middle school, or
we're staying in our same? We're in
because it's Metro as opposed to
Metro South Athletic League.
So there'll still be Vestavia, Hoover, Trussville,
Homewood, Gardendale's in there. Helena and Chelsea got out of it this year, but we added Mountain Brooks is on their schedule this year, and also Bragg, which is Gardendale's middle school. So we're looking forward to playing them as well.
So 6A does not translate down into.
And there's some 6A schools already on there, such as Homewood and Gardendale as well.
Any chance, I know years ago that they went away from kickoffs, and any chance they bring those back?
It's not looking like it. I keep voting to bring it back, but I don't ever get my way on that one. I think it's part of the game, and I love that the special teams part of it. We're not going to do it this year as well. Just PAT.
Yeah, well, we talked about it. The reason it came up is talked a little bit about it. I think it is hurting some of the development at the high school level because when we talked about it, we had a couple of games that came down to special teams last year, and that. And again, one of the things that we talk about is finding a role on the team. Yeah. And you got a kid. He may only be. He may have the body of a kicker, and you may not be able to play another. So now you're kind of really cutting out. I get the injury part of it, but I'd love to still see him do kickoffs where you even fair catch it all the time. And
not only that, that's a great opportunity to get different players in the game in special teams. But we won one game on a field goal last year as well. We got awesome kicker coming up that's going to be in the high school now. So we missed that part of it, but we're glad we can still do our field goal and points afters. But I do miss it. I wish we could bring it back.
What's the middle school plan for the summer workouts?
We take a couple of weeks off here when school gets out on Friday, and we start up June 11th. We go 3 days a week in June, and again, we do a lot of stuff with the high school. We've got 3 to 4 7-on-7 OTAs that we're going to do throughout the summer. Just a great time to get in shape, and to do a lot of speed and agility, and but start putting football stuff in. We're wide open with it.
So tell me a little bit, because I know you're experiencing some of the same success, and probably some of it's because you're building that culture at the middle school level is the team first atmosphere, team being
Absolutely.
A good teammate. One of the things that I noticed even when my son was playing for you in middle school was he's an offensive lineman at the time, or defensive lineman. The linemen still show up to the 7-on-7 OTAs to support their team, and and I've been to a lot of OTAs. You don't see that across the board with a lot of teams.
Well, it's about Barry and it's about SPAIIN Park, and we try to build that into them, and we're there supporting each other. I heard Coach B talking about it earlier. Whatever you do in school, you're doing for your teammate. Whatever you're doing in the weight room, you're doing for your teammate. It's a great opportunity to support each other and get better as a team.
So also got to ask you real quick, how'd the tennis team do this year? You're a tennis coach too, right?
No, I actually moved to softball.
Oh, you moved to softball?
Yes, we needed the softball coach, and we went undefeated in the league, won the Metro Championship, and I got Coach of the Year in softball. So
I did hear that. I don't
know if there's anywhere to go but down now.
Well, I did. I was at a softball game, and I heard your name mentioned as a coach. I was like, Matt Bowden is it. I was looking for you, but they said you're middle school.
I had a blast. My niece was playing, and so I said, when they needed a coach, I said, I'll do this. But I ended up just having a great time doing it. Learned a lot every day. I had great help with Coach Flannery and Coach Zajac and Coach Miller. But the kids were awesome. They did a wonderful job.
That's awesome. So middle school games in the fall, they tend to be on what nights?
Thursday nights.
Thursday nights, okay. And
usually seventh grade starts at 5, and 8th grade usually around 6:45.
Yeah, and as part of the Jag Connection, our goal is we'll cover some of your games. I think we're talking about coming out and doing play-by-play for a few of the games awesome. for you guys, and maybe bring you guys into the coaches show that we do to get a little bit of update, and maybe even start interviewing some of the middle school players, to get them ready for when they get to high school. So that's kind of the whole point. And about, you want to touch on that at all about this whole Jag Connection? I mean, it's basically to bring you guys all together and get exposure for every SPAIIN Park team, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's an awesome idea. It's whatever we can do to build these kids up and still focus on the team and build a team up. I believe it's going to be fantastic. We're looking forward to being part of it.
All right, I think we're going to bring up the youth coach now, or the youth director.
Thank you, Jordan.
Coach Sutherland. Now he's the youth. So we're winging it here because I've never met Coach Sutherland. And George Corey.
Hey, John Isaac Sutherland, good to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me over here.
Thanks, man. It's awesome. You know, my son started as early as you can start. I forget what it is, second grade now?
We have first and second grade.
Yeah,
they
that's what
combine for one team and go all the way up through six.
So trust me, I mean, it's hard to believe my son just graduated, that he was actually graduating on Wednesday. And I just remember it just like it was yesterday, fitting him for his first helmet out there.
It goes by so fast. I mean, my oldest is getting ready to be a freshman at Spain Park next year, and I'm trying to understand how I don't have a kid in elementary school anymore, you know?
But you haven't been paroled yet, right?
Not yet.
That's good. I did it too. And in fact, my daughter was a cheerleader, but I stayed on the football board those couple of years because it's football. Talk a little bit about the youth development, not only as to be a football player, but just there's so many life skills that you get on the football field and at that early age, determination, leadership.
Oh yeah, we're so excited about the youth program because you do. I mean, at those ages, you develop bonds. You learn how to, get along with your teammates. You start learning how to be leaders at that age. You learn how to work with your emotions and your aggression and be able to put that into play. I mean, there's just so many things you learn. You learn a whole lot about your character, and you start learning that at young ages in the youth football program, and it's great because you start learning, here's what I have to do and here's what I have to be to try and be successful. And I think it's just all those building blocks that's fantastic, and that's why we're so excited about the youth program, and it's why we work so hard to put together a really, really strong program for all those age groups.
You keep using the word program, and I want to highlight on that for a minute because I'm not going to knock anybody before because football, that program's been in its evolution. You know, Spain Park's only been around since 2001. So I started fairly early. But you mentioned the word program. Before, it used to be a bunch of different individual teams. And you have coaches, and it'd be a dad, and you still got dads that coach. But you guys as a program have really committed yourself to getting good coaching at every level that works together. So there isn't a difference between second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade. Talk a little bit about that because you guys have been really put a painstaking effort to get that as a program.
Yeah, so this is an evolution over probably the past 5 years. We have an actual football board now. All of our coaches at every level are on that board. We have officers on the board. We work with the larger park board over at Hoover East, Hoover Athletic Association. But basically, we are one program, first, second grade, all the way up through sixth grade, and we all work together. We help recruit for all the teams together. You'll see coaches out there. We're going to have like a skills and drills session next Wednesday, and we invite kids from every age group to come out there, and they'll be out there with kids of all ages. We'll have some of our assistant coaches out there taking them through different stations. Starting them to get them ready for sort of developing the skills they need for the football. And so, yeah, it is a program now. A couple of years ago, we put lights on the practice fields at the high school.
Yeah, I just saw that the other day. I was like, where was that? I mean, I can't tell you the number of times I was looking for that last dummy in the dark.
That's right. And look, and we're hoping we're going to finish that project and put some more out there and give it some real light out there this year too. So, I mean, you know, we've done a lot of stuff like that. We've got all new football helmets this year. Rydell, Victor I, inflatable helmets this year. Every kid is going to have one of the new Guardian caps.
Really?
That goes on top of the helmet for practice this year. I mean, there's a lot going on with our youth program, and we're excited about it.
Having sat on that board, that's something I want to touch on too that I think is important because, you know, when I was on there, concussions obviously still a concern today, but we've come a long way since that with some of the safety features that you mentioned, and we really saw a dip in participation. I think it's coming back now because you guys have put a lot of effort into. I mean, I think you don't go more than 2 years. Every helmets get recertified every year. You switch them out. You make sure they X-ray and make sure they're not cracked. You're getting all the top safety gear for these kids.
100%, and on top of all that, all of our coaches, every coach who's going to be on the field with a kid goes through USA football, tackle football certification, with a big part of that being concussion and heat training for coaches for youth football.
So how important too, I know Coach V has really taken an active role in the youth program, not like some of our coaches in the past, which is really, how much has that helped, the participation and the development?
It's amazing because, you get the insight from your head football coach almost at a minute's notice. I mean, Coach V is available. He doesn't just say, I'm going to be there. Like, he's there whenever you need him to do whatever you need him to do. And it's fantastic because it makes the kids buy in to what they're going out there and doing, and it gives them a lot of pride. And I'll give you an example. Last year, I don't know if you knew this, but we had 1 week last year where every football team that wore a SPAIIN Park jersey from first, second grade all the way up through varsity, they won their games that week. We were like 11, 12, and 0.
Really?
We sent something out about it on the football board. That Monday morning, Coach V had that on social media. So my 5th grader and I were out and about. We happened to see Brock Bradley and his dad, and Brock, my 5th grader, went up to say hey to Brock, and Brock said, hey man, did you see how cool it was that all of our football teams won this week? My 5th grader thought that was the coolest thing that's ever happened to him, that Brock Bradley knew that his football team and the others had won. That's the kind of stuff that Coach V's doing that is really, really invaluable.
And that goes a long way. I mean,
it does, man.
I mean, you're playing. I mean, it's a big stage to play at for SPAIIN Park on a Friday night. It's a 7A, now 6A, but still, I mean, it's at the top of 6A. But 6A, there's a lot of 6A teams out there better than 7A teams, so I don't look at the competition as being much different.
It's fantastic.
What has that done for you guys? No change in youth. You guys sticking with the same, but they did have 2 divisions. They had a 7A and a 6A division. So youth, will you guys be a little different this year?
Well, they used to. So we play in the Jefferson Shelby Youth Football League, and I think that's generally what they've always played in. They restructured that a few years ago to where they don't have 7A and 6A anymore. They try to structure all the teams based on competitive level so that you're getting teams with the same talent levels and stuff on the field, and you're trying to close that gap and not have a lot of inequity and competition on the field.
Right.
And so you don't have a lot of the 7A, 6A stuff. So we'll be playing 7A schools, 6A schools, just depending on what division you're in.
Talk a little bit real quick. We got to bring Coach V back on, but a little bit about signups. Are signups over with? Are they done?
So thanks for asking. So registration right now is ongoing. It's ongoing officially until the end of May. Now, in the past, we have extended that if we needed to. We have over 80 kids signed up right now. We expect to have somewhere around 145 plus at the end of the day. So, it's not – registration's going pretty good right now.
That's averaging. Okay. That's going to have you, 25 to 30 a team?
It is, roughly. And usually you're going to have more on the older groups than you do the younger groups. So, you're looking at somewhere between 18 and 20 on the first and second grade, and you're looking at somewhere between 25, 30 plus on your 6th grade team. So, registration is going pretty well right now. And like I said, it's ongoing. It's officially open until May 31st. So if your son is out there and wants to play football and hasn't signed up yet, come on. We want them out there.
And I'll tell you, too, something else a lot of kids, some of the older crowd doesn't realize. They changed the rules a couple years back, widened the field. It used to be narrower, which is, again, I think been good for safety, and you can get the edge a little bit, maybe get a few more touchdowns scored. But at the younger age, too, have they gone to 9 players instead of 11, or did they not pass that?
No, they didn't pass that. We don't do a kicking game.
Right, okay.
And then we have the wider field, and then you also have the dot limit on weight players. Right. So, at every level, there's a certain weight. If you're over that, then you can only play on the interior line, which is good. I mean, the big boys are going to play on the interior line anyway.
Right.
So.
Well, you don't need that kid coming in a full truck of steam from safety and knock it, or vice versa. Get that kid that running back that nobody can tackle him.
That's exactly right.
And that's the reason they've done it. But JYSFL has been around for a long time. They've done a pretty good job of managing the rules. And trying to keep a fairly level playing field.
They do a pretty good job of it. We've done some stuff the last few years. the board has with JSYFL, but, you know, everything's always constantly being sort of tweaked a little bit here and there, but they do a good job.
Last one for you is, you know, talk to you a little bit, and I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but we are planning on come out, maybe stream a few of your games this year, and
wow.
do some play-by-play for you guys and interview some of your players, do a post-game interview with your players to start making them part of the program like we do with Jaguar, and some of your grandparents that are out in Dallas or Utah or L.A. can, I know they can get some of them on NFHS, but they'll get to hear their son's name played and called. And
they would love that.
And so we're going to try to do at least 2 games a month for the youth football.
Oh,
And,
that'd be fantastic. The kids will love that. I mean, that's the type of thing that they'll eat up. It helps develop that love for the program, love for the game, and so yeah, that'd be awesome.
And moms out there, don't worry, because not only do we cover the football, we cover the cheer too.
There
We do
you
a lot.
go.
We do.
Hey, look.
And I had a daughter's cheerleader. I'll tell you, there was a game. We were at a practice. We were at a scrimmage one day, and I was out there. And I don't know if at the younger levels the coach can still be on the field, but it was at that level where you can still be on the field. And me and another coach looked at each other. It's like something's just wrong here. Something's missing. We had no cheerleaders. It just wasn't the game atmosphere. So we try to we'll cover the cheerleaders too. You know, include them in whatever we do. But we're going to try to cover 2 games a month for you guys this fall.
That'll be awesome. We've got as many cheerleaders as we do football players, and they work hard and do an awesome job out there. It's fantastic.
And it's a big part of the atmosphere.
Oh, it's a huge part of the atmosphere. Well,
So-
look, hey, thanks so much for having us on.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for
and
promoting
we'll be
the
talking to you again
program.
this fall.
Yeah, we
so
hope
will you
so.
get Coach V for me again? Coach V's grabbing him some food here, so what he does, I'll get prepped for our next segment here, but we're wrapping it up here in about 14 minutes. Don't worry, folks. I'm sure I'm going to get lots of comments on the camera angle, but we will make sure to get a better camera angle next time. And let's see here. There we go. So we got Coach V back. Coach V, great interview there. The youth program is in good hands right now, it sounds like.
There's no doubt. We got a lot of good guys around our kids, and they're trying to grow the program. They're trying to be, leaders, and they're trying to, just try to get the community out there, and they're doing a really good job.
So I told him, I didn't know, I thought you had broke the news to him that we're going to try to cover 2 youth games a month in the fall. We'll come out, we'll do play-by-play, and we'll stream their games and interview a couple players and call their names. But I told my moms not to get worried, too, because, as much as I cover you guys, I still hit the cheerleaders on Friday night. Morgan does a great job and helping create that atmosphere. I don't think you'll find a more intense coach probably on the sideline than Morgan Lambert.
No, it's Coach Lambert. I walked in there to practice one time in the gym, and it was the most intense experience I've ever seen. And I walked in, it took me about 20 seconds, and you've seen that Homer Simpson clip where he's in the bushes and just kind of backs up into the bushes. That's kind of what I felt like. I was sitting there watching, and then I just kind of backed out of there like, well, that's intense. So, yeah, Coach Lambert does a great job with those girls.
We were talking about scholarships when you left a little bit into some of these offers, they always tell the kid it's the first offer you get's the hardest, right? And after that, they start to roll in. And some of that's because schools notice, and they say, okay, if they're offering them, I need to give them. Is it the same thing for a program now that you're starting to see some offers? Is it getting a little bit easier and the success that you've had? They still got to do the work, but are you starting to see a little bit of a snowball effect of because these guys are starting to come to campus and get noticed, other guys are getting looks now?
Yeah, here's the deal, and this is what I tell the kids and parents, anybody who asks. Like, there are 3 factors that gets kids an opportunity to play college football and scholarship-wise. 1, measurables. That's just there's been really good players who are just undersized, not getting an opportunity because of measurables. 2, grades. If you don't have grades, you have no choice. You have no chance, excuse me. If you don't have the grades, colleges can't do anything with you. And 3, film. And that's it. Those 3 things allow kids the opportunity to go to school on scholarship. Now, it's our job as coaches to put them on a pedestal, to put them out there, to promote them, to get them out there and get them exposure in terms of trying to get schools to look at them and consider them. But, if you don't have those 3 things, you can't have 2 of the 3 or 1 of the 3. You have to have all 3 things.
And when you say film, that's film to show them, or the fact that you know how to do the film room?
No, it's actually making plays on a field, whether you're.
Well, the reason I said that as a joke because again, talked to Brock Bradley the other day, interviewed him, and we were talking a little bit about the recruiting process for him. And I asked him, and I'm going to ask you this next question because I asked him, does it get a little overwhelming because he is getting a lot of attention? But he did say that one of the things that you guys do great as a staff is not, when you have those guys that have some of the measurables, but maybe they're not getting on the field because somebody's ahead of them, you're getting them that film in practice too to be able to show to these coaches. And I don't think a lot of people see that.
Well, that's the thing about it. I tell these kids, like in practice, every rep you take is important because we're filming it all. And I'll go back and make playlists for the kids. So if a college coach comes to school at 11:30, because you never know when they're coming, they might show up in the middle of the day. If they can't watch practice, I can sit there and sit them down at my desk and pull up practice film of that kid making plays in practice, because they can't come to practice. They can at least see film. So we try to make playlists and try to do all we can to get kids opportunities. And every rep they take, it counts, and I think kids know that and they see that, and it gives them a little incentive to go a little bit harder in practice, knowing if I make a good play, that's going to be on my highlight tape for practice that coach is showing college coaches. So, it gives them a chance to handle one of those three,
And the reason I mentioned watching the film too, because players do have a little bit of their own ability to do it themselves through huddle, right? They can go create their own little highlight through huddle through watching the film that you guys put out there. So they need to be a part of the process too, and they can create some of that, right?
Well, so they have the green light to make their own highlights off of game film.
Right.
But they do not share practice film.
Right.
Because it might be a practice play we're working on.
And you don't want to show the triple reverse double back pass that you used against Trustville last year, right?
It might be his highlight, but that's not what we want everybody to see.
Right.
But no, it's basically to give coaches. I make playlists and I'll email it to coaches and just get kids seen. There's just different ways to get them seen, and that's one way we're trying.
I mean, you got Dakari Shanks, Division I commit to Troy. You got Jovan Taylor.
Yep.
You got Jaden Craig.
They both got offers by Bethel, and I think their senior year is going to be really big for them because they've gotten bigger and stronger, and I think they're going to be really good players. And I think that's an example of two kids who I feel like are going to be really good this year for us, and they're going to earn something after the season.
Then you got Henry Gregory, Brock Bradley, of course, everybody knows. Hudson Reed, guy on the offensive line, quiet. But he's getting it done. Some offers from Kentucky, ULM, Marshall, West Virginia, and Memphis. Christian Smith, another guy, too. That's kind of a little bit of another guy, probably a little undersized last year, thrust into a role late in the season that he probably was about ready for. But really has worked hard and turned that into he's going to be a solid player for you this year, and he got some looks. Good attitude, and that motor's always running, isn't it?
It's one thing about Christian, man. We kind of held him out a lot of spring because his back was kind of injured, or not injured, but he was trying to nurse it back to health. He finally got cleared this week of the spring game, so we kind of let him go a little bit. But the thing about Christian, he's just relentless. I mean, he has a motor. He's nonstop. And he's got a chance to be a really good football player.
Just a junior this year, too, already getting looks. And then C.J. Clowney, who's a sophomore, going to be a sophomore. And, again, that comes to the measurables. They obviously these schools see something early that they like in a guy, but that just doesn't guarantee. He's still got to do the work. He's still got to be a good teammate. But more importantly, he's got to get the grades, right?
That's it. I mean, C.J. Calley's got a chance to be a big-time player. He's doing a lot of good things on the field, which gives him a chance. He's doing a lot of good things with his grades. His grades are coming up, and he's got the measurables. So those three things together, and like I told CJ, he's not going to be the first All-American I've been blessed to have in our program. We had 4 at Jackson Olin. We had 4 kids who were All-Americans, and there's just those type of kids. You just got to keep them humble, and the bigger they get, the smaller their circle needs to be, because there's people out there who want to get something from them, and that's just everywhere. And the thing about it is those kids, you got to make sure they understand the difference, and as they age, the difference in people who are there for them or who want to get something from them. And because there's people out there that want to get something from them, and we're not those guys. We want to do everything for the kids. And my life's not going to be better having any of these kids in our program. My personal life, we want to make these kids, give them the opportunity to really expand themselves and develop their God-given gifts, because that's what it is. They're God-given gifts. They're not All-Americans because we're their coaches. They're All-Americans because that's what God blessed them to be, and if they got a lot of hard work and humility behind it, that's when good things happen.
So talk to Brock Bradley, and I asked him, I said, since we mentioned Brock, and I'll tell you, I get more and more impressed with the kid. I don't know that he could get more humble, and every time I talk to him, he seems to be. But I asked him, I said, what's the biggest thing that you've noticed from last year after getting a full season to he said the game has slowed down a little bit for him, and he feels like he's got more times. He's not as rushed to make his reads. Are you seeing the same thing? And how much does that excite you?
No doubt. You know, as good as Brock had a really good season last year as a 10th grade quarterback in that region. But after the season, we went back and analyzed every play, every game, and we looked at if he would have just done his read, what his numbers would have been, and it's eye-opening. You know, that's just the nature of the beast of being in 10th grade and going out there and playing the teams we're playing. You're not going to be perfect, but it's slowing down for him. And then when you get the elite talent that he is, the toughness, when he starts grading high, which he graded out every day in the spring. We grade him every day. He graded really high in the spring game to go with the God-given gifts, the people around him. He's got a chance to have a special year and be a special quarterback. But it's really slowed down for him. I told him that it's going to slow down. Instead of him out there just kind of, try to drink through a fire hose, he's going to be a lot more zeroed in on his one key he's supposed to read. And, he's getting better, and he's only going to get better from here.
So, and then the other thing I thought was interesting was I said to him, okay, what's one thing you want to prove on, over the summer as you hit to the fall? And I thought this was very impressive because I said, asked him, he goes, about my game? I said, yeah. He goes, I want to help my receivers develop and come along. I said, Brock, that's not really something that you're trying to work on yourself. But, that's the way he's looking at it because that's going to help him improve, and that's his role. I mean, he's very selfless to sit there and say, that's my improvement is to help my receivers come along.
Yeah, so that doesn't surprise me. Brock's the type of guy, he's used to having Bibbs out there where he just throws it deep and Bibbs goes and gets it.
Right.
Well, Brock wants to get better at knowing who his receivers are this year. And that takes another level of development, another level of deeper understanding of who's running the slant, who's running the post, who's running the comeback, who's running the dig, the shallow, and to know how to throw that individual kid.
Right.
And I think once Brock settles in on getting more reps with all of our guys, that's one thing where he wants to learn. Some kids you might be able to put it up and let them go get it. Some other kids you might have to put it on them, and that's just a deeper level of being a quarterback, and that Brock's very capable of being. And so it's going to be a really fun summer for them and for us as coaches to kind of see our kids keep developing.
We're going to wrap it up here with a little talk about 6A, but we are the Jag Connection, and we want everybody to subscribe. That gives you some additional access to give you on nights. You'll be able to either submit a question in advance to ask Coach. You can chat in a question to ask Coach. If you're here in person, you can ask. You can write down a question, and we'll get it answered for you. It's your opportunity to talk to Coach. We'll also have players throughout the season where you can talk to players and get some autographs, and we'll probably even do some giveaways, some Spain Park memorabilia, some autographed football, stuff like that as you come. So really the subscription fee is very nominal, and it's really going to get you a lot of access. And again, we're going to cover everything from we're going to be covering out. We're going to go out and do play-by-play for some of the youth games. I've already got a crew set up for it, and we're going to do 2 a month, and we're going to cover some of the middle school games. And we know you got high school covered, but we'll still, hopefully, if you get me a media pass again this year, I can be on the sidelines and cover you. We might even try to mic you up pregame and hear what Coach V's saying beforehand.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Hey, so talk a little bit. Now, I will tell you, this has been a big pet peeve of mine, okay? Everybody says you're dropping down to 6A. I don't look at it as a drop. It's a competitive balance, and that's really what it is. I mean, if you have 5,000 students and 10% athletes, that give you 500 athletes. You got 3,000 students and 10%, if that's the normal number, 300. So it is designed. And again, we talked to baseball, a 5A team can be as good as 7A team. The difference becomes depth, right?
Yes.
And as football, you need depth more than anything. So that's really what it's about. You're giving guys opportunities that don't have the number of players to create that depth. Talk a little bit about the move, the transition, how you think it's going to benefit Spain Park, and then anything you want to add on there.
I mean, here's the deal. I told the kids there's 2 things that determine who you play in terms of region. One is enrollment size. 9th, 10th, and 11th grade numbers. We can't control that. The second thing is location on a map. If you're wherever you are surrounded by schools the same size, that's where you play. So neither of those things we can control. So, yes, we've lost numbers in our school. We knew we lost them. We didn't know how much. And we're under the threshold of 7 and 6, so we're going to be one of the biggest 6As. But we're still playing Hoover. We're still playing 2 other 7A programs in James Clements and Sparkman. So, I mean, it's football. And then we're going into a region that's very they got some really good coaches in it. You got the new guy at Calera, Scott Rouse, won a state championship. Richie Busby at Helena, who's won a lot of football games. Smitty Grider at Benjamin Russell's won a lot of football games. Mike Vickery at Pelham's been around a long time. He's a really good coach. Todd Cassidy does about as a good of a bang-up job of coaching at Chelsea as anybody around here. So it's not going to be easy, and we're going to have a bullseye on our back every week. But we don't worry about it. We're going to work. We just keep working in the weight room, keep trying to be good teammates, and whatever happens. But our kids are excited because it's. At first they were not going to get to play the Trustfuls, the Vestavias, the teams they've grown up playing, and we had a big meeting about it. But we're still playing Hoover, which the kids wanted to do. But
I was going to mention it because I knew that was something very important to you when they made the switch.
Yes.
You were adamant that we are going to continue to play this game because
You have to.
of what it means to the community and these kids, and they do grow up and they play youth, and it's a fun game. And it's been, because it's been more competitive, it's been more spirited the last couple of years, and it's been good for the community. So I know you were an advocate for that.
Oh, that's a no-brainer. The only decision we had to make this year was going to be home or away. We're not going to not play Hoover. That has to happen.
And I also heard Hoover was as big an advocate for it as well.
Sure. Because it's a good money game for both of us. If it's in the Met, they're going to make money. If it's at our place, we'll make money. It's just a good thing. Our kids need to play each other, and they're over twice the size of us. In terms of enrollment, but Spain Park and Hoover, that needs to happen.
Yeah, and I think the only concern that I would have about Go 6A is just a little bit of travel. You're getting a little bit different, so you worry sometimes, do you get that crowd on the road? Any concern there for you? It is what it is.
Yeah,
it is what it is. You can only control what you can control.
It could be Hoover Spain Park, play it at Spain Park, and it's raining that night, and our crowd will take a hit. So we can't control that. We're just going to keep working, and hopefully good things happen.
And a lot of people don't realize either, there is an extra round of playoffs in 6A. So where a lot of people talk about, it's not any easier getting through there. It's actually harder. And you go back and look, a 6A team knocked off, beats Thompson last year. Any team on any given night, the top 6A teams are just good. It really comes down to depth. So the competition there is going to be as fierce, if not more so, than what we saw in 7A.
And again, I think we're going to have a target on our back every week. But that's fine.
So once again, we got the golf tournament tomorrow. If you haven't signed up, let me put the QR code back up for you real quick. And if you have an opportunity or even just come out, or if you want, I'm sure you can reach out to James Thornton, who's kind of put it together, and make a donation if you want to make a donation to Spain Park through the Gridiron Golf Scramble. I'm sure he can make that happen for you. Still Gridiron memberships available, right, as we head into the summer. So call out, reach out to Coach V. And then we will be doing this once a week. We'll have a better camera angle, folks. This was kind of a dry run. We just kind of got set up the last minute, but we'll have some better graphics. And then one of the other features that we're going to add this fall, not only doing some updates, and we'll probably do some highlights from the youth and the other programs, but we'll have some highlights from the game that we can talk about. And you'll break down some plays for us and kind of give us the X's and O's with the Jimmies and Joes and the X's and O's, I think we called it in the fall.
Absolutely, man.
And this will be in addition to, we'll also be doing the regular Coach V show, correct?
Yes.
So, but again, this is going to give you some additional access to some things and opportunities to talk with coaches, players that you might not normally get. And again, when we do it at a restaurant, I want to encourage you to come out and participate live because it helps, and we'll get a little bit that helps also fundraise for Spain Park. So, anything else you want to add before we sign off here, Coach?
Thank you for doing it. It's a dry run in spring, and we just try to keep growing this thing every week and try to get as many young families involved and young kids involved. And I know right now it's a busy time for a lot of kids playing baseball, but hopefully in the fall we can get as many members in this connection as we can, and just talk about all the good things happening in our community and around our football program.
All right, well, go Jags. Have a good summer, Coach.
You got it, man. Thank you.